slavery was abolished by the United Kingdom in 1833, so that was less than 700 years ago, but that almost doesn't matter because 200 years ago is still a very long time ago. I think on the issue of reparations, it is something which is difficult to discuss because on one side of the argument, you've got people that say reparations now, and on the other side of the argument, you've got people that say we shouldn't be paying any reparations whatsoever. And I think there's been no, I don't think, plan of how could we compensate Commonwealth countries or former colonies in a way that would be acceptable to the British people.
All right, well, let me put another thing.
I don't know if that's
Albie, let me put another thing. Let me put another thing to you, which I know that Nick will jump right at. And this is also relevant because there are two sides to every story. Caribbean countries, I know this has spent a lot of time in Barbados. The major investor in all Caribbean islands right now is China. A country, Albie, Nick, still rife with slavery. Can somebody explain that to me? Where does that go in the argument then, guys? Nick?
I don't even know what we're talking about at this moment. We're jumping from one topic to another topic so fast. I don't even know what to comment on here now. So if we're looking at China, well, China now is investing heavily in most of the world. They have slave camps. They have no human rights. We have more slaves alive today than ever at any point in the history of the human race. And no one talks about that. All we keep doing is harking back to the old days when some evil people did evil things. And we all agree slavery was an abhorrent thing. And we've all moved on from that. The point I'm trying to make is people today have other issues. And the British Empire ended slavery, the international slave trade. And if we need anything in our world today, it should be thank you for the British Empire Day, where all the countries turn around and say to Britain, ridiculous. Thank you for ending slavery.
What do people have to thank the British Empire for, just out of interest? I'm all for balance and nuance, but I think to say that what we need today is thank the British Empire Day. On what basis have you come to that conclusion? Because I'd be very interested to hear about it.
Because the British Empire ended the international slave trade.
But it was also one of the biggest contributors to the international slave trade.
Can I jump in? Because it's called Breakfast with Jeremy Kyle. Albie, yes, what you haven't answered is the question I put to you. One of the biggest exponents of slavery is China, who are investing in Caribbean countries and being welcomed with open arms. Answer that. It's very easy to kick the British, and I get what you're saying. But I agree with Nick. Why are we not criticising China then?
We should absolutely be criticising China, and I'm not kicking the British. I think part of the issue with China's investments into Africa and the Caribbean are partly related to my first issue, which is that Western liberal democracies and their connections to former colonised countries have not made the case strong enough to say, you should stay with us because we are a better system of nations to be part of than the Chinese. That's on us. We've not made that case strong enough. And part of the reason why it's so important the royal family, when they're on Commonwealth tours, acknowledges the injustices of colonialism and slavery is to make that argument for those countries to stay within the Western bloc. So I think those two prongs are linked.
I'm going to read a couple of texts to you both, and Nick, if you can go first. Simon Brown, we've given these countries hundreds of millions in foreign aid, dent relief, training over decades. What more should we do? Claire in Wolverhampton, have we not paid reparations for years in terms of overseas trade? And this from Eddie. The UK needs to stand up and take its balls back, apologising to countries now happily dancing with the devil, who is China, whilst countries like Ukraine are being demolished and our own people at home are going hungry and homeless. Nick Buckley?
Absolutely. Now, if we want these countries to remain our friends, remain part of the Commonwealth, remain linked to the West, which is perfectly fine, but if they don't want to, then we live in a free world. If these countries want to leave the Commonwealth and don't want to be a republic, absolutely fine. And let's still be friends afterwards. This has got nothing to do with the Commonwealth and those sort of things. These countries stand on their own 2 feet. They need to brush the chip off the shoulder. I mean, most of these countries love the royal family and love the British people, love our friendship. It's always a small minority. So brush the chip off your shoulder and let's get on with modern life.
Nick, thank you. Final word from you, Albie. 30 seconds. What do you say? How do you respond?
I'm not sure that I agree with Nick on this one. We've seen lots of countries wanting to leave the Commonwealth, and we need to make that argument as to why it's a good thing to be part of the Commonwealth and a good thing to be part of the Western bloc versus, you know, a Chinese bloc that's coming up. And we need to make that argument stronger. And I don't think Nick is very convincing.